Have you ever imagined a child who claims to talk to something invisible and as they grow up, becomes recognized for supernatural events? On May 25, 1887, Francesco Forgione was born, later known as Padre Pio, a renowned Capuchin friar. He reported seeing a guardian angel, convinced that other people also had such a perception. When he advanced to the priestly life in 1918, he experienced stigmata that intrigued both the faithful and scholars of the faith. Relatives said that the young man believed in the constant aid of this emissary from above, acting in each personal journey. However, many Christians relegate this help to a distant plan, remembering it only in moments of distress. On one occasion, at a dedicated gathering, someone reminded us of the need to seek this guardian in our daily lives. That experience reignited an inner spark. The meeting expanded understandings, reinforcing the idea that each baptized person receives an intimate angel. This helper does not work as an agent for multiple devotees. It belongs to each being. In 1947, a young priest named Karol Wojtyła visited the friar, seeking guidance and confession. Later, this Pole would become Pope John Paul II, signaling the relevance of those dialogues. The elderly Capuchin narrated letters written in foreign languages, received from people of different nationalities, but understood thanks to the spiritual mediator he called the tireless translator. Sometimes scrolls arrived in French, German, or Polish, but according to the religious man, the angel elucidated each sentence. Mark 11:24 suggests trusting intensely in providence, something the friar endorsed, instructing the faithful to share their concerns directly with the guardian. This discreet communication intensified faith, as it demonstrated that physical or linguistic barriers do not limit divine assistance. The friar taught that no one walks alone. His example proved that, even without knowing many human languages, he could respond promptly thanks to that hidden assistance. On September 23, 1968, the friar passed away, leaving behind an infinity of accounts about healings, mystical phenomena, and advice that sustained troubled hearts. Many testimonies involved almost miraculous interventions attributed to invisible beings always ready to assist. The personal angel would be responsible for inspiring correct conduct and warning about imminent dangers. Sometimes people recounted premonitions or intuitions that saved them from violent occurrences. The Capuchin attributed such events to the Creator's zeal, manifested through these protectors. In Luke 1:37, it is written that nothing is impossible when we sincerely trust in the higher will, something that the friar frequently endorsed. Thus, when faced with existential challenges, he remembered that no child of heaven is abandoned. In 2002, John Paul II canonized him, consolidating his place among the revered figures of the Catholic universe. This process further highlighted his message, recognizing the strength of angelic assistance in everyday life. A certain follower reported finding a timely revelation while reading a Bible verse by chance. He believed he had been guided by a silent guardian. Many devotees claimed to have escaped problems by suddenly delaying or changing their path without explanation, attributing these deviations to an invisible advisor. The Capuchin friar used to invoke John 14:6, reinforcing the idea that Christ is the safe path, but would send spiritual supports to guide each pilgrim to their final destination. Religion teaches that each person receives a unique and non-transferable angel, designated to offer protection until the last breath. At some point, someone asked the friar if they could send requests mentally. He replied that it was enough to entrust your request to the ethereal guide, who would pass it on to the recipient. The connection transcended any material obstacle. It was enough to believe and direct a sincere appeal. Thus, each Christian would perceive subtle signs arranged to assist them on their journey. Many do not know that, even in his childhood, the friar clearly saw this radiant figure and imagined that everyone had the same vision. Throughout the early mornings, he was awakened to pray together, receiving encouragement to persist in the exercises of piety. In a letter, he even reported, "I closed my eyes, contemplated something resembling a veil descending. Paradise opened up, and I found complete serenity." Then he would fall asleep with a discreet smile, waiting for that ally to return at dawn. Psalm 91:11 states that God commands his angels to guard his children in all their ways, indicating how much we can rely on such presence. In moments of uncertainty, this guardian whispers constructive ideas or dissuades from thoughtless words, avoiding disputes and regrets. For the friar, the key was to ask for help without hesitation and to give thanks daily. In this way, faith became concrete, illuminating every moment. Even temptations weakened in the face of such support. There was someone who remembered being in the middle of tasks, suddenly feeling an impulse to pray that they couldn't ignore. After a few minutes, it became clear that that prayer had interrupted a greater evil or provided unexpected comfort. The life of the little Capuchin was full of examples where this guardian helped avoid spiritual and even physical traps. He advised people to invoke this protector daily, especially upon waking and before sleeping. "Don't neglect your angel," he would say, "for he was assigned to guide you on the right path." In the mid-20th century, when Europe was facing turbulent times, many travelers sought the friar for guidance, reporting dreams or sensations linked to radiant figures that acted as guides. He attributed these manifestations to divine mercy. Mark 11:24 urges the faithful to ask believing in the answer. Thus, the guardian would be a vehicle to carry the supplications to the Eternal Father, an experience that confirmed divine care in critical situations. Various passages show this luminous creature as an intermediary between the individual and Padre Pio. Messages came from different nations, and the recipient claimed to understand everything through supernatural intervention, joking that his angel had become a forced polyglot. In the friar's view, it was not fantasy, but concrete proof that the Creator endowed each devotee with a guardian committed to helping. In 2002, when his sainthood was formalized, hundreds of faithful confirmed reports of inexplicable communications that occurred even after his passing in 1968. The friar taught that the angel could also lead prayers directly to the divine throne, providing greater strength to the intentions. A famous case involved a correspondent who tried to write to the religious figure without access to conventional means, opting to send his thoughts instead. The recipient replied, confirming that he had felt the message. This phenomenon may seem improbable, but faith sees in it a solid bridge between the human and the sacred. A lady recounted that her young son, while participating in a family prayer, described the presence of a young man of light beside them. The friar used such children's testimonies to reinforce that pure eyes can notice things unnoticed by adults. He himself commented that as a child, he experienced daily contact with the winged being. Luke 1:37, written in the Gospel, states, "For God nothing shall be impossible." This verse nurtured the conviction that higher powers manifest in any situation as long as there is internal openness. The guardian does not eliminate the difficulties of life, but provides extra courage to face them. People who reported chronic fears found tranquility by directing words of trust to the angel, asking for help with simple tasks. Falls, accidents, and conflicts, in many cases, were avoided by a sudden delay or intuition that prevented hasty decisions. Thus, hope acquired a practical foundation, supported by the certainty of divine protection. Certain people completely forget this reality. However, on one occasion, a follower revealed that, while attending a religious symposium, he was impacted by a lecture about these radiant beings. That talk reignited the understanding that every human being has a tireless defender. Since then, he says he started seeking that support in everything, even asking the guardian to remember commitments or important debates. Gradually, he noticed less anxiety. The friar emphasized that when the mind is overwhelmed with worries, it is enough to say, "Heavenly Messenger, guide my thoughts." Thus, tensions dissipate. In John 14:6, we see that Christ presents himself as the eternal truth, but he authorizes the presence of servants who help guide the flock. Therefore, the Capuchin friar recommended calling upon these helpers, asking them to remove any obstacles on the roads of life. The protection became tangible, without requiring great efforts. If you wish to strengthen this awareness, there is an invitation. Subscribe to the channel that promotes reflections on this friar. By performing this simple act, your name and petitions are included in the next Mass of the Thursday of the devoted children of Padre Pio, celebrated for all who find inspiration in this intercessor. There is also the option to join the group of protected children of Padre Pio, participating in special prayers throughout the year, totaling more than 50 celebrations in addition to exclusive materials. This initiative aims to spread testimonies about the graces received through the intercession of the saint. Those who share experiences encourage others to trust in invisible realities. Sometimes external circumstances seem confusing, but this angelic ally supports each believer without discriminating by age or social condition. Just a sincere phrase, a simple gesture from someone seeking shelter. Whoever follows this account may wonder about the purpose of all this. The answer lies in the desire to remember that no one walks alone. Angels exist, according to Catholic tradition, to support each journey. When the friar received a large volume of correspondence, he did not have modern resources, but he insisted that the spiritual messenger helped him, either by bringing details of each request or by ensuring contact with people who were far away. There is an inspiring verse in Psalm 91:11. The Lord commands his angels to protect every path taken by the believers. This summarizes the logic defended by the little Capuchin throughout his journey. He did not ignore problems, but he said they were overcome by persistence combined with supernatural help. Therefore, upon rising, it is worth greeting this guardian. Before resting, it is advisable to thank him. When it comes time to decide something uncertain, it is advisable to seek clarification. The friar did exactly that and encouraged everyone to trust more in heavenly assistance. It is worth noting, this protector is a personal gift and not a traveling employee who handles multiple demands simultaneously. He remains by each individual's side from the cradle to the last breath. Neglecting this reality, in the friar's words, constituted ingratitude towards the Creator. There are records of cases where followers prayed to the angel, asking for specific help, and days later, testimonies of remarkable deliverances arrived. Letters addressed to the religious figure describe deliverance from serious accidents, complicated illnesses, or impossible family reconciliations. Matthew 5:9 speaks about peacemakers, and the Capuchin applied this principle to the role of the angel, believing that these agents of good also spread inner harmony. Whoever has felt sudden impulses of peace knows that many times they arise without apparent reason, but correspond to this subtle intervention. It is not witchcraft, but an expression of mercy. Thus, trust in the eternal gains more flavor and depth. In some celebrations, devotees recite prayers asking their guardians to carry their intentions to heaven. The friar insisted that these sincere supplications are heard, for each angel presents the request to the divine throne, intensifying the communion with the infinite. Therefore, if you, dear reader, feel moved, Try this experiment. At dawn or before sleeping, murmur, "Faithful Protector, receive my longings and deliver them to the Omnipotent." Perhaps you will be surprised by the serenity that emerges, by more sensible decisions or by unexpected deliverances. The canonized Capuchin cultivated this practice and left numerous examples of the fruits generated by this contact. The routine remains challenging, but the angel is here, watching every step. If you wish to share your requests, remember what was mentioned. Sign up so that your name can be included in the next religious celebration. And if you want, join the group of protected children of Padre Pio. Thus, more hearts will be touched by the message. Concluding these reflections, I invite each one to repeat the Marian prayer. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Then let us beseech the Capuchin Friar. Saint Padre Pio, intercede for us. May this guardian angel, appointed by God, strengthen every project, dry tears, and open paths of hope. Do not relegate this treasure to forgetfulness. Try to cultivate it at every moment, for the invisible protection remains by your side incessantly. It doesn't matter if the external world displays noise or challenges, this sentinel fulfills its duty. Also cultivate brotherhood, mirroring the role of those servants of the Most High, who work in silence. In this way, our faith becomes alive, uniting concrete actions with an inner fire. May everyone move forward, nourished by this certainty of indestructible support.